So this post isn't really about King David, but it sort of is because he thought when he was alone, nobody was watching, he could get away with stuff, and he got himself into trouble when he thought nobody was watching. Why does our behavior change when we think nobody's watching? Especially when we know somebody's always watching, and he ain't gonna let us get away with stuff. You know, if we think he's our boss, our behavior should be consistent. Our behavior should be godly and honoring of him. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, so whether you eat or drink, as minimal thing as that, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all for the glory of God. So I can drink a coffee or a super hot chai tea latte at the Rusty Iron to the glory of God? Yes. 1 Thessalonians 2:12 says, we exhorted each one of you and encouraged you and charged you to walk in a manner worthy of God who calls you into his own kingdom and glory. So walk in a manner worthy of God. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for man. So really it's saying work as if God's your boss. Whatever we do. Yeah. You mean when I'm at work? Yep. You mean when I'm at the gym? Yep. Shopping? Reading? Watching TV? Surfing the net? Yep, and yep. I'm reminded of Jonathan Edwards, who was a revivalist preacher in the 1700s. He was best known for his sermons on the sovereignty of God and the holiness of God. He wrote out some resolutions one time, and his goal was to rehearse these resolutions to himself once a week for his entire life. Listen to some of these. Resolved, never to do anything which I should be afraid to do if this were the last hour of my life. Resolved, never to do anything which I should be afraid to do if I expected it would not be above an hour before I should hear the last trump. In other words, Jesus returning, not Donald Trump, Jesus. Resolved to inquire every night as I'm going to bed wherein I have been negligent. Where have I been negligent? What sin I have committed, and wherein have I denied myself? Also at the very end of every week, at the end of every month, and at the end of every year. Resolved to ask myself at the end of every day, every week, every month, and every year, and wherein I could possibly in any respect have done better. Resolved, I will act so as I think I shall judge would have been best and most prudent when I come into the future world. Let me read that one again because it's Old English. Resolved, I will act so as I think I shall judge would have been best and most prudent when I come into the future world. Resolved, to endeavor to my utmost to act as I can think I should do if I had already seen the happiness of heaven and hell torments. Again, saying, given eternity in mind, given heaven and hell, and however he saw that, defined that, he says, I would resolve to do my very utmost to act in the way as if I know this is true, which he did. Resolved to do my utmost, to live for Jesus, to be honorable in all I do, to live as if he's coming or if he's seeing me before I die, like living with him in mind, living with eternity in mind. So how about you? How would you live differently today if you knew Jesus was returning tonight? John Wesley said, I wouldn't do anything different, which means he knew that what he was doing was living for Christ. Let's take that to heart.